Now, it's time for a little R&R.
All into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy!
Light him up, Colin!
In a shocking turn of events, Tom Thibodeau, the former head coach of the New York Knicks, was relieved of his duties earlier this afternoon. Team president Leon Rose, allegedly with full support of owner James Dolan. Tibbs is out. Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3 with Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat. We're streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter/X at ESPN West Palm, and also on your radio dial over at ESPN 106.3. Packed program today. Tom Thibodeau, the highlight. I was on the board with this for the most part until it came, throughout the season. I move on. Find your Kenny Atkinson.
Well, you even took it a step further. When the Denver Nuggets moved on from Mike Malone, you said the Knicks should move on from Tibbs before the playoffs.
And I was anti-Mike Malone being fired at that point in the season. But Shams Charania of ESPN officially dropped a bombshell a little earlier today, and he said that Tom Thibodeau is out. Let's take a listen to what Shams Charania had to say in regard to the New York Knicks relieving Tom Thibodeau of his duties as head coach.
The Knicks believe that they need a new voice, someone that can take them to the next step of the organization's future, which they hope is an NBA championship. This is a team that obviously has talent. Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. They feel like they need a new voice, and that's what the decision was made today by Knicks ownership. James Dolan, Leon Rose informed Tom Thibodeau today that he has been let go as head coach.
Shams Charania of ESPN says he is out. Now, there's some people that are, including Mike, who are unhappy about this.
Shame on them. Shame on them.
I think this is the right move.
First conference final in 25 years, and you fire the guy. You finally beat the Boston Celtics. You beat their butt too. And don't give me the Tatum stuff. They were winning even if Tatum was playing. We agree on this. Did they fall short to Indiana? Yes. Colin, Indiana seemed like that team of destiny in the Eastern Conference. They walloped the Cavs, the best team in the East in the regular season, and then they beat the Knicks, who beat the big bad Celtics. I think there's levels to this. We talk about all the time in the playoffs how there are levels to this stuff. Okay, you finally beat the Celtics. Great. You proved to yourself you could beat Boston. I understand nothing is guaranteed year in and year out, and you want to take advantage of the run that you're going on the current year. And I know Knicks fans are upset that they didn't make the NBA Finals, but firing a guy who got you and your team to a place you haven't been in 25 years is a little shameful. Shame on the Knicks today. Shame on the Knicks today.
The one thing I would agree with is if you're the New York Knicks, let's think about this for a second. Isaiah Thomas didn't work out. Larry Brown did not work out. Mike D'Antoni did not work out. They had Mike Woodson, who fizzled out and exploded. Derek Fisher stunk. Jeff Hornacek did nothing for them. David Fizdale in and out before they could blink. It wasn't finally that they actually got some stability when they got Tom Thibodeau in as that job.
And I believe Theo, of Theoretically Speaking, spoke on this from 2 to 4. You're relying on the Knicks to be competent. You're relying on Dolan and Leon Rose.
Well, Rose has done a good job putting the roster together.
I understand. But all those names you just went through, and that specific spot, the head coaching spot, Tibbs turned it around there. I know maybe Knicks fan and people in that organization don't want to admit it. Rewind 3 years ago when they made the playoffs for the first time in a while. Brunson played bully ball, and they beat Cleveland, and they moved on. I know last year they lost to Indiana, and this year they lost Indiana. They lost Indiana 2 times in a row. Indiana is their boogeyman, and Tibbs is boogeyman. But at the same time, Tibbs put respect back on the Knicks. Tibbs put the Knicks back on the map. You saw what Cleveland did last year. They got rid of their head coach, and they got Kenny Atkinson. Is Cleveland going to fire Kenny Atkinson this year because they lost in the second round? They
fired J.B. Bickerstaff after they lost in the second round. What'd you say then?
But at that time, I was happy. But then this year, fast forward, and you get ran off the court. The grass isn't greener sometimes. That's the point I'm trying to make, Al. You're firing Tibbs. The grass isn't greener sometimes. Unless, get a huge name. And it has to be that, right?
It's the biggest job in basketball.
It has to be. Like if they hired Johnny Bryant, the assistant coach from the Cleveland Cavaliers, I will say shame on them. I will. I will say shame on them. But if they go out and get a big name, Kyle, fine. Then this works out. But as of right now, I say shame on the Knicks. I do.
My thinking, Tom Thibodeau, as a head coach, yes, brought the Knicks back to relevancy. That is what Tom Thibodeau does. He is a rotation coach. He got the Bulls out from that MJ cloud that they couldn't escape in the mid-2000s, and he got them into a pretty good team. Now, the Bulls never recovered. Billy Donovan's still stuck there, the whole thing. They haven't been able to figure that out ever since he left. But the point is, he was a floor raiser. Went to Minnesota. He got to them to the first postseason they had in about 25 years. They moved on from him. They moved on to Chris Finch. They've had more success since they moved on. Or they had Saunders, and then they had Finch. But they moved on and eventually landed on Finch, and it's worked out. Tom Thibodeau goes to the Knicks. He gets them into a middling playoff team. A couple years go by, 5 years in, he gets them to a conference final, and they lose to a team that is probably better than them. Yes. Now, the one thing I would agree with you on is, you're going to ask yourself the question, did the Knicks overachieve or underachieve this year? They overachieved, probably. Maybe to a loose degree, they overachieved.
They weren't even a conversation heading into the playoffs. It was Boston and Cleveland. And they give credit to Indiana, too. They weren't even a topic of conversation. That's why we play the games.
Nope, that's why you play the games. They overachieved in some capacity this year. Going to 6 in the Eastern Conference Final, I think a Knick fan would have signed up for that at the beginning of the year. But they made moves for Anthony Towns. Why'd they get rid of him? Why'd they get him in the mix?
Yeah,
was to get a championship. Why'd they get Jalen Brunson on a pay cut? To get a championship. Why'd they move on from Tom Thibodeau? To find their way to a championship. If you're under the impression that Tom Thibodeau is just, that genie in a bottle waiting to explode into a championship-winning year after year head coach, no. Tom Thibodeau has the same problems he has always had his whole entire career. He is an excellent regular season coach. The players like him. The players work hard under him. He is too stubborn for his own ways in a playoff series. That is the bottom line. That has been his Achilles heel his entire coaching career. And that's not, is it a knock in the regular season? No. But when all of a sudden you have to turn to Landry Shamet and you have to turn into the bench at the end of the Knicks series when all of a sudden Karl-Anthony Towns gets foul trouble, Jalen Brunson foul trouble. I know they had some moments where it looked good with it, but the point is, these guys haven't played.
Yep.
And that's what hurt them. That's what got them burned at the end of the day is they did not have the depth because he did not trust the depth because he never trusts the depth. Kenny the Jet Smith said it. He wouldn't play 9 in a baseball game, and it's true. And whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing is one thing. But the way I look at it, if you're under the impression that Tom Thibodeau is, they're going to take the next step and he's waiting on winning a title, I think you're dead wrong. Because I don't think he's proved that to you. How many big playoff series has he won? 1? Maybe 2? What, he beat the Cavs in the first round 2 years ago?
Got him back on the map.
Yeah, when they were with the Bulls and they lost to the Sixers after Rose went down and they beat the Nets that one year.
Post Melo got the Knicks back on track.
That's
right?
it. That is the holy grail of what he did. But in terms of winning playoff series, he had that Celtics series, which was a great win, a big moment for the Knicks.
Big time.
We all know that. But we also know that the Celtics handed those first two games off.
They couldn't hit a shot.
Couldn't hit a shot. They gift wrapped them the driver's seat in that series.
Now, Colin, I think it's a couple of things. Something we talked about all year with THIBS. The 6-man rotation, I think the Knicks had a big problem with that. And to your point,
he's too stubborn.
When you had to go to these players, they weren't ready. Next thing on my list, look at the teams in the NBA Finals. Look at the Oklahoma City Thunder and look at the Indiana Pacers. These are deep teams. These are teams with deep benches, and they could go 9 to 10 guys. I think the Knicks organization looks at that and says, all right, how do we make this happen? With THIBS, this isn't going to happen. We're never going to play 10 guys. We're never going to go deep.
The thing is, yes, to add onto that, the Pacers and the Thunder have the players. The Knicks probably didn't.
Right.
But even if they did have the players, Thibodeau wouldn't play.
But exactly. And I think this roster was constructed. Let's give some credit. This roster was constructed for THIBS. Brunson, Bridges, Hart, these are guys with high motor who could play 40 minutes a game. And then and my final thing, we're relying, and I understand why. I understand the why. I just don't think it's fair, and I think it's shameful.
Yeah, that's the way to put it.
And the final thing, Colin, this is an incompetent organization. I think we all forget, unless they get a big name, Colin, and who's a big name? Unless they get a big name, this is shameful. It really is. If you get Johnny Bryant, if you get an assistant coach who we don't even know. I don't know. I can't get behind that. Tibbs is a proven.
You got to get a proven. You got to get a proven head coach.
And isn't there something with sticking with it? Like, would it have been that bad to try it for one more year?
But then what?
To run it back
Brunson's
one more
another
year?
year older, and then Anthony Towns is going to be 31. Then I get it, but this is a window. These windows are not necessarily going to play ball.
But like you look at the last 2 years and the sample size that there are 3 years that the Knicks have been in the playoffs. Every year they've gotten better. And that's probably what Tibbs was saying to defend himself is give me more time, give me another this. But in the end of the day, I think a lot of it has to do with that 6-man rotation we talked about so much and the deep teams in the NBA final and Tibbs refusing to adjust.
Well, the one thing about the Knicks getting better every year is they changed every year. They added players every year. They traded guys in and out. They were not afraid to get rid of Randall. They were not afraid to get rid of DiVincenzo. They were not afraid to go get Bridges. They were not afraid to go get Anunoby. They were not afraid to make moves. They got Brunson. They were not afraid to do this.
And people question the Brunson move,
and
too.
at a certain point, what are you gonna do now? What are you gonna trade Towns? Are you just gonna keep how come the circus could only exist between the players, but it can't exist between the coach?
Sure. They need to get deeper. I know I sound like a broken record. I've said it 3 times in 5 minutes. But I think their big thing this offseason is to get deeper on the rotations.
But the bottom line is, if you're under the impression that Thibodeau was going to take him to the promised land, based off of what? Based off of what? This is the same guy who blew a 15-point lead at the end of Game 1. And if you want to blame it on Anunoby and Anthony Towns for not hitting free throws, go right ahead. The Knicks blew that game. If that's not a coaching plunder, I don't know what is. Carlisle coached circles around him all series long. All series long. And I can't listen to the other side of that.
He did in every Doc Rivers, everybody. And I know it's not hard to do that with Doc Rivers lately. But Kyle, you understand the point. 3 teams Carlisle was able to coach circles around.
Right.
I think that was just a team.
Carlisle's a great coach. But the point is, he's not going to be the guy to out-coach the opposition. That's going to be it, right?
Well, the book's out on Thibodeau, right? The book's been out.
It's been out since he was in Minnesota.
The book's been out. So... And his refusal, and this goes back to what I said, the 6-man rotation, not a deep team, and the refusal to change.
Well, this is about the coaching, too. This is the coaching. He's stubborn.
The refusal to change. The stubbornness.
He's
there
stubborn.
You go. You hit it. The refusal to change his ways.
He's stubborn. Tom Thibodeau relieved of his duties as head coach of the Knicks in a shocking move after they went 6 games deep in the Eastern Conference Final. We want to know, right move, wrong move? Where do the Knicks go from here? Do you agree with Tom Thibodeau's firing? 888-760-3776. The number to get into the program. That's 888-760-3776. Not only do I agree with this, I think the Knicks are going to be better off because of this, but the one thing I'll add to this that Mike was right on is the grass is not always greener on the other side. Let's look at the Milwaukee Bucks. They got rid of Budenholzer. That didn't work out. All of a sudden, the Suns, they had Monty Williams, won 60 games with him. They moved on. That didn't work out. Then they got the Frank Vogel and the Los Angeles Lakers. They moved on from him. That hasn't worked out. The Toronto Raptors moved on from Dwayne Casey. Then it worked out with Nick Nurse. And then they moved on from Nick Nurse, and then it hasn't worked out.
Exactly. And the NBA is musical chairs at the coaching position. It's musical chairs.
The way I look at it is if Mike Malone can get fired with 3 games remaining in the regular season and we're on a 50-win team, and this is the same team that took OKC to 7. If he could get fired with 3 games in the regular season, I'm not shocked that this is open season for Thibodeau.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Don't you want to become that
Is it unfair? Yes.
Shameful. Say it.
I don't know if it's shameful. It's unfair.
First time in 25 years.
Do coaches deserve that type of leash? Probably not. But is it a cutthroat business for a reason? Yes.
Now, we just said Tibbs and the Knicks overachieved. And the Knicks got to their first conference finals in 25 years. I ask you, why is he fired then?
He's fired because you do not see the end of the line with him.
Okay.
Is that it? Do you see the end of the line with Tom Thibodeau? Yes or no?
Unless depending on who they hire. For now, Kyle, right now, I don't know who they're going to hire yet. And I know you're speculating on maybe somebody. I don't know who they're going to hire. Until they do, this is shameful in my eyes. And if it is Johnny Bryant, listen, Johnny Bryant is a Cleveland Cavalier. I love him. But at the same time,
the associate head coach of the Cavs.
If it is Johnny Bryant, I don't agree with it. I don't. I'm sorry. Unless you get a huge name, I don't agree with this. Unless you already have someone grandfathered in to come in and step in and be the coach who's a big splash name, I think this is
Do people have the
shameful.
wrong idea of what Thibodeau is? Do people have the wrong idea that this is some championship-winning head coach? This guy's an under
Kyle,
five.
First time in 25 years, though.
Hey, hold on. He's won under 50% of his playoff games in his career. And he's had good teams. He's coached MVPs. And he won under 50% of his playoff games.
We're not talking about the Celtics. We're talking about the Knicks, a team that has been the definition of incompetence in the playoffs for 25 years.
Fine. And he did it to Minnesota. What did Minnesota do? They were not afraid to move on from him. And we started to struggle with Minnesota. He started not resonating with the players. I agree with you on the fact that they need to get somebody that eases the players' tension almost immediately. You can't go get somebody and then a guy trying to rekindle the locker room. You need a guy whose voice precedes him walking in the door.
They like playing for him. Brunson liked playing for the guy. Josh Hart, all these guys. Cat. It's a shakeup. That's a shakeup with the players right now, I guarantee it. Unless they get somebody to shut them up. Believe it or not, I have an idea. We'll get to that after the break. First of all, 888-760-3776, the number to get into the program. Let's go to Ernie in Boynton Beach, joining us now on Russo and Rizzo. Ernie, welcome in. What's your thoughts here as a Knick guy?
Well, I'll take it as it is the way it looks. It was written on the wall. I mean, his past speaks for itself. You said it. Minnesota, Chicago. He drains the life of the players. He totally runs them down. He rides them all the way to the ground. He doesn't use rookies. He doesn't use his bench. Come on, this was going to happen. I said it when the first two games were lost in the first series. Why? Because he didn't know how to coach. He didn't know who to put in. Why? Because he didn't know what he was going to get out of him. Why? Because he didn't use him in the regular season. Why didn't he use him in the regular season? Why? This is the day and age of using your entire staff. You have how many people in this? How many people is it that they have? 12, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, it's 12, 15.
Yep.
12. And how deep are these guys going? That right now, the two teams that are in the finals, what are they rotating? They're rotating 10 to 11 people. Yeah. So it's a shift. It's not just something that's happening to the Knicks. This is a shift. If you don't have a starting five and a complementary bench, you're not going to win it.
Now, Ernie.
That's simple, and it's right here. Go ahead.
Ernie, if I could push back a little bit. First time in 25 years you've been to a conference final and you ran the guy out of the door.
Correct.
You're okay with that? You're okay with this?
Yes. And guess what? We're not going to get any higher. We were not going to go any higher than what we saw right now. And I'm glad that they didn't go. Colin, you're right. They saw what they got, and that's it. Because the only way he was going to save his job was by winning it. Let's be honest here.
That's it. The only way the NBA Finals would have done it. The Finals would have done it.
Now, but even the likes of Stephen A. Smith agree.
Good call.
Thank you, Ernie. Now, I will say Stephen A. was on First Take about 2 weeks ago, and they asked him this question about Thibodeau. And Stephen A. said no because I think the Boston series saved him.
Yeah, I was under the same impression.
Not even Stephen A., who's closer to the Knicks than anybody we know, thought Thibodeau was going to get fired.
Now you got to wonder who made this call. Did James Dolan make this call as the owner? Did Leon Rose, who was the president since 2020, make this call? Who was a Thibodeau guy? Did he make this call? Was it in unison? Did they agree? Was it ownership down? That's the real question now. 888-760-3776. Cologne in New Jersey joins Russo and Rizzo. Cologne, welcome in. What do you got?
Hey, guys. I just Thibodeau, I am shocked. I wanted him to come back. I think he earned the right to come back, running back another year. But as a Knicks fan, when the season started, they were one of the favorites to make it to the conference final. And as the year went along, they could not be a good team. And there was rumors that if he lose to Detroit, he would get fired. And also on March 13th, there's a report that Mikal Bridges complained about playing too many minutes, and then they won that game against Portland Trail Blazers, and Mikal hit like a 3-pointer in overtime to win the game,
Right.
So my point being is, I think this writing was they made up their mind before they made the playoffs that he wasn't coming back because.
But Cologne, you gotta take into consideration the success or the lack thereof if you're considering a title or bust. You got to take that into consideration whether you're going to move on from this guy or not in the postseason. You're not going to make this decision 2 months before the fact.
I think listen, what did they say when Thibodeau first got here? They said that he's a good guy, he's a good coach, good defense, and he'll wear out his welcome in 5 years. How long has it been? I think it's been like 5 years.
It's been 5 years. Yes.
He wore out his walk. He wore out his welcome. That's when you hire them. That's when they say what's going to happen. Where is his welcome? All I'm saying is, I think they made up their mind before the season started that they were not going to bring him back. And then beating the Celtics and being the favorite to beat the Pacers, I think that also went against them unless they made this move.
Appreciate the call, Cologne. Thank you for chiming in. 888-760-3776. Tom Thibodeau relieved of duties as head coach of the New York Knicks. Sham Sharani of ESPN said that, quote, his phone's blown up with the NBA executives. Almost everybody in the league is stunned. But what is this Knick job opening up to? It is the most coveted job in basketball. People want to talk, oh, well, what about Tom Thibodeau? You know, the short leash. If the Knicks call, you're answering. It doesn't matter who it is. Because the Laker job did the same thing last year. The Lakers could have gotten anybody they wanted. I know Dan Hurley turned it down. That was just a bargaining chip. They could have gotten the Knicks can get anybody they want here. Now the question remains, is it the right move? Number one, yes, you could lean back. But also, if you're going to look forward, who do they go get? Who do they call? Who is going to fill the void left by Tom Thibodeau? And more importantly, who is going to ease the tensions amongst the players? Weirdly enough, I think I have the perfect answer. And he knows plenty about coaching in Madison Square Garden. We'll do that a little bit next. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
At St. Lucie Battery and Tire, batteries came before tires. We've been selling and servicing all types of batteries for over 50 years. So when you need a battery for nearly anything, we have it, as well as the fast, professional installation you need. We carry premium batteries for all your needs: automotive, commercial, marine, RV, and specialty. We also offer delivery and on-site installation, serving our customers quality products for over 50 years in the home of honest, reliable service. Go to slbt.com and book your next appointment.
Hi, it's Evan Cohen from Unsportsmanlike. So the tush push survives again. The NFL still can't figure out how to stop it because apparently physics, leverage, and a giant wall of butts are undefeated. ESPN 106.3 has all the football, all the tush talk, and none of the shame. Push on.
Summer's in swing at Lone Depot Park. Next on deck, your Marlins face off against the Phillies and Braves. June 16th to 22nd. Watch Fighting Fish, Kyle Stowers, and Max Meyer go head-to-head with Bryce Harper and Chris Sale.
Stowers hits it out to left center. It is back, and it's gone! A walk-off grand slam!
It's a week of can't miss baseball. Don't miss the energy. Lock in your seats now at marlins.com/tickets.
It's a Twin Peaks Tuesday. Twin Peaks, the ultimate sports lodge for eats, drinks, and scenic views. This is ESPN 106.3.
Hey, Steph Prince here, General Manager of ESPN West Palm, to tell you about a team that has meant a lot to me and this community for a long time. Bob and the team at Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning have been helping me stay cool for years, whether at home or in the office. And living in South Florida with 3 kids, I don't know what I'd do without them. Family owned and operated, serving Royal Palm Beach and beyond since 1980. Let the knowledgeable and trained team at Bradley help you with your residential and commercial needs, installation, repair, seasonal maintenance, upgrades of all makes and styles and models of HVAC equipment, and so much more. Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning does things right the first time and makes the process smooth, stress-free, and most importantly, keeps you cool. Give them a call at 561-793-7497. That's 561-793-7497 or BradleyAir.com. Any need, big or small, trust the amazing team at Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning.
The Club at Lost Lake, a championship Fazio design golf course in Hope Sound. Golf and social memberships are now available with no waiting list and immediate access. The course and club will see over $10 million in capital improvements and is one of the best private club values in the area. Experience the beauty and challenge of this renowned course for yourself. Enjoy year-round access to exclusive amenities and events. Elevate your game, elevate your experience. Discover the Club at Lost Lake. Visit clublostlake.com to schedule a visit today.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Tom Thibodeau out as head coach of the Knicks in a shocking move per Shams Charania of ESPN. He is gone. Goodbye. Leon Rose and James Dolan, the brass of the New York Knicks, have decided to move on from Tom Thibodeau, who took them to their first Eastern Conference Finals in 25 years, since the 1999-2000 season when Jeff Van Gundy was coaching the team. That was the last time the Knicks actually saw that. It's Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. Listen, if you've been in a car accident, truck accident, suffered a slip and fall, my friends Mark Anajar and Glenn Levine at Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys are the type to fight for you. I know with Anajar and Levine, they got my back no matter what. They can get yours too, and they don't even charge you unless you win. They work tirelessly to get you the maximum compensation that you deserve. They're the best in the business for a reason. Demand Anajar and Levine today, because that's the Anajar and Levine difference. All it takes is one phone call. Take back control of your life. Don't wait. Call for that free consultation today. That's 1-800-747-FREE. 1-800-747-3733. Take back control now with Anajar and Levine. 888-760-3776, the number to get into the program on Russo and Rizzo. Tom Thibodeau fired. Was it the right move? Where do the Knicks go from here? Want to know what you have to say. 888-760-3776. Now, we got to look ahead in terms of where do you go from here?
Oh, you have the answer. You already figured it out.
No. And
you figured it out.
It's been floated. But what Mike said last segment is right. To appease the play, I assume that the players are shocked by this. I'm going to assume this because of how they respond to how they feel to Thibodeau.
We're 2 weeks apart from Jalen Brunson trolling the media about his minutes.
Saying they love, it sounds like the players love playing for Thibodeau. He's a players type guy. So I'm going to assume that this is a shock and there was some tension in that locker room. Because of that, how do you appease that type of tension? There's immediate tension in that locker room. Oh my God, are they going to blow this up?
100%.
Are they going to change things?
Yeah.
Who do you bring in? Jay Wright. Jay Wright, the former head coach of the Villanova University men's basketball team. The guy who coached Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart to national championships for the Villanova Wildcats. Jay Wright, who has been in retirement since 2022 when he walked away from college basketball because of the NIL and the explosion that happened outward of that of paying for your players, when he is a keep your guys around guy. He is a keep your players around coach.
He is. That's why he got out. Didn't want to deal with the NIL.
Fair enough. The same guy who was asked by the guys over at Barstool on Pardon My Take about what type of job he would take if and when, and this might be a joke, but if and when he would ever take an NBA job. And what did Jay Wright have to say? Take a listen.
What NBA team would you like to coach?
Kind of kidding. The Knicks.
Okay.
Jay right to the Knicks.
Okay.
Huh?
Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden. But we're kidding, of course, because I don't want to.
JK.
Totally
just a joke.
Just a joke. But Jay right to the Knicks.
Jay right to the Knicks.
You heard it here first.
Print it up.
Pardon my take.
I don't want to leave Villanova, of course, but I would take the Knick job. I would go after the Knick job. How about that?
No, that was years ago. To intern AJ's point, that was they were in their old studios. That had to be 2018.
Yeah.
My God, Kyle, it was 8 years ago, bud.
Doesn't matter.
You're grasping at straws here. How about that? So, what, are they going to sign Dante? So they're going to get...
Are you telling me...
This is what we're going to do.
Are you telling me that if the Knicks call Jay Wright, he does not pick up the phone?
Hang on. So... They're going to sign Dante DiVincenzo.
They're going to get the whole crew back
They're
together.
going to get Michael Jenkins from the Serbian League. Yeah, Chris Jenkins from the Serbian League that he's playing in. And they're going to run this thing back and try to win an NBA title. To see the Villanova Wildcats 2.0 in Madison Square Garden. Kyle, fair play to you. I don't think they're going to be able to get him off of his couch in
Wayne, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, in beautiful Wayne, Pennsylvania, and I think he's comfy. Personally, I think he's comfy on that CBS desk.
The CBS desk,
he's
2
comfy.
months a year,
he's
does not scratch that itch.
He wants,
as a coach who has won championships, sitting on that CBS, that godforsaken desk, breaking down Rutgers UCLA on the late slot on a Saturday afternoon. Hey. I can't see that scratching his back in terms of what he's looking for in competition. Now, does he want to go coach 82 games over nine months?
And deal with the New York media and all that bull?
But he loves Madison Square Garden, and he loves his guys. if there is a reason to get him out of the barn, get him out of the attic, it would be those guys. And you know that.
Until he sees the first tabloid from the New York Post of Jay Wright botching timeouts. I mean,
here's the thing.
No one wants to deal with the New York media.
But here's the thing. It's not like he's walking. Yes, there's an expectation, but he's not walking in replacing Phil Jackson. Right. He's walking in replacing Tom Thibodeau.
Let me rephrase. Obviously, people would deal with the New York media. What I'm saying is he's comfy in his position right now.
Yeah, does he need basketball?
Exactly, of being on CBS, being with his family. Colin, he's got kids. He's got grandchildren. I'm sure he's enjoying his retirement. You're going to give all that stuff up that you enjoy to go get grilled by the New York Post night in and night out about how you're botching timeouts and the rotations. Colin, it's far-fetched. It's far-fetched for me with Jay Wright. It is.
I think if there's a list of people that the Knicks 1,000% are calling, I would put them on. I would put three numbers. I'd put 3 names on it. I'd put 3 names. I would put Dan Hurley on the list because Dan Hurley, New York bred, that guy is going to get a call, in my opinion. And I think I'm a UConn guy. I don't know if, you know what? Maybe they don't call him. Who knows? But the idea is if he is offered that job, I think Hurley would take it. And he didn't take the Laker job. I don't know if he'd want to walk away from the stability of UConn, but that Knick job is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
And they finally lost, too. UConn finally...
If there's a time to jump off ship, let's say it like we see it. Like this, they're not chasing a three-peat here, and they got the assistant coaches there that are more than capable of taking over that program.
Quickly, New York Post about 33 minutes ago, Danny Hurley, Johnny Bryant, top early list of potential Knick candidates to replace Thibodeau.
They're calling him. They're calling Mike Malone, the former coach of the Denver Nuggets. Now, the one thing about Mike Malone is the reason they got rid of Mike Malone is because Mike Malone was stubborn in his own ways about playing young guys.
And listen, there were reportedly off-the-court issues as well.
Right. They did not like how he handled increasing the rotation. But then you had Edelman step in there, and they had postseason success without Mike Malone, so I understand the pushback there. But Edelman wasn't going there going 10 deep. He was not doing that. They played Patrick Watson, whatever his name is, and they played a handful of guys off the bench, Russell Westbrook and company. So they didn't necessarily open up the depth chart, so to speak, when they got Mike Malone out of there. Mike Malone has similar tendencies to Thibodeau in terms of he plays his guys, he plays them a lot, but he's a championship-winning, pedigree, established head coach who saw a ton of success for the Denver Nuggets. That would be another person that they call. And the third person, I think you'd be foolish if you're Leon Rose to at least not pick up the phone to see if Jay Wright would pick up to answer. You'd be foolish. It's perfect. There's a story attached, yes, but you don't think Jay Wright can coach the Knicks?
I think he can.
Jay Wright was probably the best college basketball coach in the country when he was at his head. And this is when Krzyzewski was coaching. This is when Roy Williams was coaching. This is when Hurley was coaching. This is when all these guys were coaching. Tom Izzo, it was probably Jay Wright. And listen, does it always compare and contrast? Does it always translate is the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
No. Look at Pitino. Pitino burned the Celtics to the ground the second he took over that team after Kentucky. Doesn't always work. Calipari stunk.
Pitino stunk.
Awful for the Celtics. Burn them to the ground.
Now, it doesn't always work. Doesn't
always work. But I think you'd be foolish not to call. You'd be foolish to see if he doesn't, if he picks up.
We're about to see in the near future if this was an impulse firing or if the Knicks actually have a plan. If it was an impulse firing,
I don't think this is an impulse firing.
Back to what I said in the first segment, Kyle. If this was an impulse firing, shame on them.
I don't think it was.
But if they have a plan, I'll listen to it.
Right.
If the plan is Hurley, I'll listen to it. If the plan is Jay Wright, I'll listen to it. But if they fired Thibodeau, banking on one of these two guys to come.
What about Mike Malone? Where do you stand among that?
It's interesting. Very similar. The only thing separating them is the
playoff success.
Exactly.
Playoff success.
The championship
He's
and
the playoff
success.
Coach, yeah.
And Malone is going to get a job somewhere. We agree on this. Malone,
no problem.
Colin, I sit on the fence with Malone. I do. I really sit on the fence with Malone.
He's got a little Thibodeau to him.
Because, if you hire Mike Malone, I argue maybe you should have just given it another chance with THIBS another year. But to your point, you told me earlier in the first segment, Riz, it's another year for Brunson and all these guys. I hear all that. But if there's not a huge plan of Hurley or Jay Wright and a big splash for the locker room and the fans, I'm going to question Mike Malone to an extent.
And here's the weird thing. I don't know. My personal opinion, I'm a UConn fan. I don't think Hurley is a UConn. I don't think he's a professional coach. He's a college coach. There are college coaches. There are pro coaches. I think he's a college coach. Pitino is a college coach. Jay Wright, I don't know where I fall on him. He's very, I guess, basketball fundamental based. Dare I say a little Popovich-like in terms of he keeps his guys around. He's loyal. He's consistent. He's got his, I guess, playmaking point guard who can make moves off of two. He's got his Tony Parker. I'm not saying he's pop, but like in terms of a style.
Yeah. Him. You want to know who is similar, Colin? Him and Roy Williams. Roy Williams got his players to stick around in Carolina. Jay Wright got his players to stick around in Villanova.
And Villanova, comparatively to North Carolina, too.
Right. The absolute opposite, by the way, of what college sports is now. But I understand the point. The thing to lure Jay Wright is all his guys being.
That's it.
All
it's
his guys are there.
And it's the Knicks and the guys.
And you wonder, I asked you this in the pre-show meeting, do the Knicks make moves in free agency before they hire a coach? We tend to think the coach is going to come first and that this is going to be a fast process. And I go back to, we're going to know if the Knicks. Do you think the Knicks so let me ask you this, Kyle. Do you think the Knicks actually? Yeah. Do you think the Knicks actually have a plan here? Do they have a plan, or is this on a whim? THIBS isn't good enough. We got to find the next guy, and we'll figure it out during this process.
Let's talk to somebody who understands what it's like when coaches are fired, when coaches are let go.
In New York.
In New York, too, of all places. Do you have a plan? Is this an impulse? We'll get Mike Tannenbaum's perspective, the ESPN NFL analyst and the former general manager of the New York Jets. On the flip side, it's Russo Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
What's the Anajar and Levine difference? If you're the victim of a car crash, you will always speak to a lawyer. You'll always get the highest standard of care from our dedicated legal team, and we'll always fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. That's the Anajar and Levine difference. Call our legal team right now for a free consultation. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Don't wait. Call 1-800-747-FREE.
In office, West Palm Beach.
As market dynamics change, the quality and service you receive from your accounting firm shouldn't. Partner-owned since 1923, Anshin Accountants and Advisors take the time to get to know you and your unique circumstances to help resolve complex issues and develop innovative tax and accounting solutions tailored to meet your goals. If you're a high net worth individual or business owner eager for a strategy to maximize tax savings, let Anshin deliver value where others can't. Visit ANCHIN.com. Anshin Accountants and Advisors, recalculating what's possible.
Mike Rizzo here with the Sports Business Minute presented by the FAU MBA in Sport Management Program. The UEFA Champions League final featured PSG and Inter Milan. PSG Paris Saint-Germain dominated the game 5-0. It was the largest victory in a Champions League game in the history of the UEFA Champions League, and people all across the world were celebrating. According to Fanatics, more PSG merchandise was sold in the 12 hours after a win than the previous 3 months combined. Fans from 70 countries went to the official PSG online store to buy merchandise. Soccer truly is the world sport. This is the Sports Business Minute presented by the FAU MBA in Sport Management Program. Accelerate your career in sports with the program committed to developing top-notch executives and managers with a focus on the job placement for students and graduates. The FAU MBA in Sport Management Program.
Is your credit on life support? Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach will be hosting a credit clinic at the dealership today and tomorrow. Local bank representatives will be on site to grant special approval to consumers who meet certain minimum criteria. If you have a job bringing home $350 weekly, the credit clinic at Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach wants to approve you so you can drive home your new Kia today. Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach will be hosting a credit clinic at the dealership today and tomorrow. Hello, is this thing on? I repeat, Greenway Kia of West West Palm Beach will be hosting a credit clinic at the dealership today and tomorrow. If you have a job bringing home $350 weekly, the credit clinic wants to approve you for a new Kia today. So what are you waiting for? Don't miss the credit clinic today and tomorrow at Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach. Call 800-NEW-KIAs or go online at greenwaykiawestpalmbeach.com.
We want to see ya in a Greenway Kia.
Credit affects down payment and approval term.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3. Also streaming live, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter/X at ESPN West Palm. It's Colin Russo and Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat with you. We're at the City Place Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. Tom Thibodeau out as head coach of the New York Knicks. Goodbye. A shocking turn of events. Shams Charania of ESPN announced it just about a little over an hour ago. He is out. The Knicks job is open, the more coveted positions in professional sports. And we'd like to welcome in somebody who understands what it's like when a coach is let go, when somebody's let go surprisingly, the thought process behind it. I'd like to welcome in the ESPN NFL insider, Mike Tannenbaum. Mr. Tannenbaum, how are we doing today? What's going on?
Hey, guys, how are you? Yeah, I'm as surprised as anybody. You know, the Knicks had a great year, and that was certainly a big surprise.
Well, let's talk about this really quickly. Mike, this is a fascinating change of events. It sounded like Thibodeau sort of had to reach a certain level to, I guess, quote, protect his job. I think the NBA is a little bit more cutthroat than the NFL is, honestly, from that perspective. Now that playoff coaches, coaches that are competing in the end of the postseason are getting fired here. What is your perspective on, I guess, the leash that professional coaches in the National Basketball Association have been sort of allotted here in the last couple of years?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's a very long one, right, guys? You know, they had a historically good year, and at least in my opinion, I thought the Pacers were the better team, so I don't know how you can blame this on the head coach. And, you know, maybe they have a plan or somebody in mind to replace him, but, yeah, it does seem like the leash was unusually quick, just given look, they were 2 games away from, you know, making it to the finals.
Mike, how is it? You know, you've been general manager of plenty of NFL teams. How is it to fire somebody? Probably one of the worst things you got to do for the job, right?
Yeah, without question, guys. And look, I've been on both ends of those conversations, and neither end is very good. And, you know, we all know that there's a mortality date for 99 of us that come into this industry. Room for that moment. It's really difficult. I've had to fire friends like Eric Mangini, someone I had worked with a long time, and, you know, others, you know, roster cut down day is hard when you go from 90 to 53 and you have to let, you know, 37 people go. It just comes with the territory. But I can assure you, like going into that room today, you know, Leon Rose and whoever else was in there, you know, it's still, we're all human, and it's a hard call to make. Now,
because you mentioned the relationships that you sort of have to put business ahead of personal when it comes to these types of decisions. Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau have a good relationship. And then, of course, you never know how much the ownership has in terms of the trickle-down effect, whether they're making this call in unison or one's telling other to make this call. From outside looking in, from your perspective, do you think this was an impulse move, or this sort of was writing on the wall for a couple of weeks now?
Yeah, Colin, that's a good question. I don't know. Like, again, like, the person that's going to take this job over is going to have to get to the NBA Finals in year one to make it look like a good decision. Like, I don't know. Like, I think the bar is really high, and again, maybe they have a particular person. It just
losing Mike Tannenbaum here a little bit, technical difficulties, but we'll work on getting him back as we continue onward here. The one thing that Mike said that was interesting was the bar is set: NBA Finals or bust.
I mean, it certainly seems that way.
It certainly seems that way, and so we'll see if that is capable. Mike, welcome back into the program. Mike, you were mentioning how the bar is set quite high. We lost you there for a couple seconds here. At an NBA Finals or bust?
Sorry. Yeah, exactly. Like, to me, like, the bar is very high, and, you know, this next coach is going to come in with enormous expectations. Obviously, it's not a rebuild, and if they don't get to the finals next year, you know, this new coach is going to have a very high bar to achieve a very high goal quickly.
Now, there's a pedigree attached. This is almost like taking one of the biggest jobs in sports in terms of taking the New York Knicks. It's a coveted job, but also that bar. Do you think that will scare some coaches away? I know this is basketball comparatively to your experience in football, but will that keep coaches hesitant that, hey, hold on, this guy just got fired when he got 2 games away from the NBA Finals? Is that even something I want to go near? Or is this going to be, if I get the opportunity here, you almost can't pass it up?
Yeah, that's a great question. Look, that comes up all the time with jobs in New York, players in New York. Like, it's not for everybody. It's times, 10. It could be great, or it could be really bad. You look around the city and the Eli Mannings and the Lawrence Taylors, they're still celebrated Derek Jeters of the world. But if it doesn't go well, we saw what happened today. So, yeah, New York is not for everybody by any stretch. And that goes not just for coaches, but front office people and obviously for players as well.
Now, Mike, Kyle talked about the pedigree of the Knicks job. Is there a job like that in your eyes in the NFL? If it comes calling, you got to take it?
Like the Giants, a lot of rumors about Brian Daboll and
Packers, maybe.
What Jackson does. Yeah, yep. But look, we'll see what happens. But I think when you get a chance to run a New York team sport, you get into sports because you're driven, you're competitive. I think it's hard to say no to.
Hard to say no. Mike Tannenbaum, of course, the ESPN NFL insider, joining us now on Russo and Rizzo. Mike, let's move on here. Earlier in the week, you said something interesting about what the Steelers should do here. Everybody said all eyes have been on them. So far this offseason, nobody knows what Aaron Rodgers is what he's thinking about or what he's planning on doing or where he's going to go and what that might be. And you said something along the lines of, all right, well, I think we got Will Howard sitting here. We're in the middle of OTAs. I think you're honestly as in a good of a spot to let him get a rip. How about you elaborate on this, on that thought process for us a little bit?
Yeah, I thought Will Howard had a really good season. And candidly, he had a really poor offseason. That's why he went in the 6th round. But look, you don't give up $30 billion a year and a second-round pick for DK Metcalf to have Mason Rudolph throwing the ball. So sometimes Rodgers is going to miss too much of the offseason. I don't know what's going to happen with Kirk Cousins. So maybe they love Will Howard. Like, at some point, I don't know, like, the Steelers do a lot of really, really good things. It's just hard to believe that they're going to go into the season with Mason Rudolph as their quarterback.
Mike, outside of the Steelers and that Rodgers situation, what NFL storyline are you following closely with OTAs going on right now?
Yeah, I think, Jalen Ramsey, like that one has to get reconciled by all accounts. Like they're heading for a divorce. One there is interesting. Cousins is interesting. And then I think, Dak Prescott, Aiden Hutchinson coming back from significant injuries should have massive impacts for their respective teams.
How about Frank Ragnow retiring too, the center of the Detroit Lions? They're losing a lot here going into next year. I could actually see a little bit of regression there. You almost kind of get worried. Losing both their coordinators, they lost a handful of players. I know they got Hutchinson and the health coming back, but what's your perspective on how the Lions are going to rebound here?
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it there. I think like when you think about it, it's John Morton and probably Tate Ratledge as the guys that signal callers instead of Frank Ragnow and Ben Johnson. That's going to take a minute for the transition to happen. But Ratledge is second round center out of Georgia. I think he'll do a good job, but it won't happen overnight. And John Morton's been a play caller before, but big shoes to fill with Ben Johnson.
Last thing here, Mike, I want to ask you really quickly, and then we'll get to Mike too. But one thing I was curious about is OTAs. You mentioned how Rodgers is going to miss too much of the offseason. Is that something that you put a lot of stock in with somebody of that type of caliber? Veterans missing OTAs, is that a big deal for somebody like you who has been in front offices before?
Yeah, context is everything. If someone's been there for 1,000 years, it doesn't matter. If, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow miss some time, no one's going to care. They've been there for forever. But, Aaron Rodgers doesn't know his teammates yet. So, he had a cup of coffee with DK Metcalf at UCLA. Like, they need the rigor, they need the repetition, and they're at a competitive disadvantage in their own division.
Mike, I apologize, bit old news here, but I really wanted to ask you, how would you handle the Stephon Diggs situation? We've all seen the video.
Yeah. No, we talked about it on air. Look, he was holding something that, by all accounts, isn't very good. With that said, hard to be to cut a guy, without all the information. There is a presumption of innocence. It's a serious situation. I would certainly ask the player for his side of it. I'm sure there'll be an investigation, and it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out.
Mike, we appreciate you giving us the time, as always. Looking forward to talking again next week.
Okay, thanks so much, guys.
You got it. Mike Tannenbaum, of course, the ESPN NFL insider, said a couple of interesting things there. He is sort of on the board that this was probably a risky move for the New York Knicks. And he said something that you got to agree with. The bar is quite high. If you're going to walk in and take that job for the New York Knicks, that is, you have to succeed, and not only succeed, you need to succeed quickly. Well, now, the good news is that they have a roster that can win playoff games tomorrow. You need to get the right guy in there.
It's good to know that, if you don't make the NBA Finals, you're going to get fired.
Right.
I mean, honestly, that's... You're
not going to fire a guy after a year, I understand what you're saying.
But that's where I'm at this point. I feel very bad for Tom Thibodeau because he brought that team to a place where they haven't been in 2 decades. Almost 3. We were halfway to 3 decades. 25 years. So it's like, I don't know. I feel for Tibbs. I understand the 6-man rotation, the lack of, the
adjustments.
Yeah, the adjustment thing was weird. And the conversation heading into these games against the Pacers when they were down is he going to make adjustments? He kind of dug his own grave a bit in a sense. But I probably would have given him a year. I would have given him 1 more year, especially if they're not going to get a Danny Hurley or a Jay Wright or a big-time splash. And if they're going to hire a Johnny Bryant kind of coach, I probably would have wrote it out for 1 more year. But fair play to the Knicks and Leon Rose and owner Dolan, who, I guess this wasn't enough. In a year where you finally beat the Celtics and you wanted to take advantage and go to an NBA Finals, they felt like it wasn't enough.
Do they call different NBA franchises to see if head coaches are available?
Everything, it wouldn't surprise me, Colin, because I feel like the whole NBA is shocked right now. You mentioned Shams Charania, NBA reporter for ESPN. His phone's blowing up of executives like, what the heck are the New York Knicks doing? We did not see this. Nobody saw this. And Stephen A. even spoke on this a few moments ago. He's upset. The Knick man himself, the New York Knick man himself, Stephen A. Smith, upset that they fired Tom Thibodeau. I think it's the point, we're at the morning point, I think, right now of the Tibbs situation until they bring in that big name of Wright and or Danny Hurley. Listen, they got to have a plan. They got to have a plan.
Do you call the Miami Heat, see if Eric Spoelstra is willing to come north?
That'll never happen, though.
Is it worth the call?
Yeah, but at the same time, Pat Riley's going to laugh you off the air.
Maybe.
Laugh you off the phone.
But is that a crazy thing?
Yeah, nuts. They were not getting Eric Spoelstra. I'm going to shut that down immediately. Colin, to your point, it's someone in college or a retired coach.
Do they call Kenny Atkinson? Does Kenny Atkinson take that job?
No.
Why would you say that?
Because he's
other than the reason that he's on the Cleveland Cavaliers and that's your favorite team. What is the reason for him to stick around?
Because Cleveland's in a better. They didn't go deeper in the playoffs. I still think Cleveland's a better situation than New York.
He just got signed there. If they call Kenny Atkinson, does he pick up that phone?
I think Mitchell, Mobley, Garland, and I know they were softer than Charmin in the playoffs the last 2 years. I still think you ride with that than what they got in New York. It's my 2 cents.
Does he pick up the phone?
No. Because he's making a ton of money in Cleveland right now.
Right. You'd have to figure out a trade or a buyout
situation. He's making a ton of money, too. But I understand the point. The Knicks call, it might be that job. It might be that job. If it calls, he can't say no.
I don't think it's crazy. I don't know enough about I know they both just have extensions.
Can I be honest? You're digging your own grave right now. You want to know why?
Why is that?
Because you're going to lose Danny Hurley. That's probably, we're all thinking Jay Wright.
You want to know the good news? You want to know the silver lining?
What's that?
Danny Hurley walks over to the New York Knicks. He brings Kamani Young with him as UConn's first assistant. So then Luke Murray takes over as the head coach of the UConn Huskies. And who does he call to fill in the 4th assistant spot? Tim Russo out of Northern Arizona.
There you go. There you go. Then you know what? It's a blessing in disguise on both fronts. How about that? On both fronts.
And UConn, Illinois at MSG on Black Friday. Colin Russo will be sitting right behind the UConn bench.
By the way, we could get Timmy out of godforsaken Northern Arizona, too, with all due respect.
Oh, yeah. You should see the roster.
With all due respect. They lost that player.
They lost most of their players. They lost all of their players except for 3.
It's the dream.
They had 4 guys transfer out, and they're now D2. It was a D1 program.
Wait, Northern Arizona's D2?
No.
Okay.
They had 4 guys transfer out, and they ended up at D2 programs.
Nice. Hey, Kyle, tell the New York Knicks the grass isn't always
Luke Murray calls Tim Russo to come replace an assistant role at UConn men's basketball, Tim Russo is taking that call. I will accept the job for Tim Russo. Kyle, you get on the plane. You are going to Stores.
Hey, listen, I want to go to a game. But regardless, I don't think the Knicks. Colin, I think this was an impulse firing. I don't think they have a plan.
I think they.
I don't think they have a plan.
I think they have a plan.
You're going to see Johnny Bryant get hired for the Knicks, and every Knick fan
and their brother
lose their mind.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to take as long as the Lakers did. I don't know if they will. The Lakers had open season, interviewed a lot of candidates. I don't think this is that same situation.
Well, if they're on Hurley time, they're going to be waiting a long time.
But this is different. That's not the Lakers. That's not LeBron.
You cut it out.
This. I think Hurley's going to. I don't know if they'd offer him the job because Hurley is a college coach. I don't think he would succeed in the pros. And all of a sudden, if he realizes he doesn't succeed in the pros after 2 years, then he's finding a new program, that would be a major problem.
When Danny's calling his players out in the post-game press conference.
When he's got the player development coach and he's headlocking him because the guy's walking when he's explaining something.
He's walking around shoeless.
That's what happened to Tim Russo.
Put him in a headlock?
No, he threw a basketball at his face. Oh, didn't hit him. Might have. But that's Dan Hurley for you.
His forehead.
It hit him in the head. It might have hit him in the head, but he said, "Tim, why are you moving when I'm talking?"
And he threw it.
Yeah. It was like 5 NBA players on the floor, too. We got to do a little 5 and 5 bounce around. We'll loop Christian Cat into the conversation. Tom Thibodeau out as head coach of the New York Knicks. 888-760-3776, number to get into the program. Who do they turn to here? Is it Jay Wright? Is it Dan Hurley? Is it Mike Malone? Is it Taylor Jenkins? Is it Johnny Bryant, the associate head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers? What do you have to say? 888-760-3776, number to get into Russo and Rizzo. Taking a time out of your second hour coming up on ESPN 106.3.
Progressive has great customer service, and it's easy to reach us because great and easy is the way to be. Like salads. Great for you, and so easy you can put any group of veggies in a bowl, and it's a salad. A full carrot with a head of cabbage? Weird, but still a salad. 1 radish and a couple of green beans? Also a salad. 14 blueberries, half an onion, and a sunchoke? Odd, yes, but an odd salad. So contact Progressive's customer service by phone, app, or online. It's great and easy, just like salad. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Duffy's Sports Grill is raising a glass to the class of 2025. Every graduation deserves a party, and Duffy's is the place to celebrate. Reserve your spot now and let Duffy's handle it all. With private party spaces, party platters, and custom menus for groups of 12 or more. Plus, now through June 15th, get a $10 MVP bonus for every $50 in gift cards you grab. Level up your graduation at Duffy's. Visit Duffy'sMVP.com to book your party today. Duffy's, our game is always on.
Summer is heating up, and so are the St. Lucie Mets. Clover Park is the top summer destination for sports fans looking to get the most bang for their buck in June and July. Be there for all the excitement on the field and in the stands. Saturday, June 7th is Faith Night with post-game fireworks and a concert. June 19th through the 21st is Military Appreciation Weekend. The biggest and best fireworks show on the Treasure Coast is coming to Clover Park on Thursday, July 3rd. Tickets are on sale now at stluciemets.com. See you at the ballpark this summer.
Hey, Steph Prince here, General Manager of ESPN West Palm, to tell you about a team that has meant a lot to me and this community for a long time. Bob and the team at Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning have been helping me stay cool for years, whether at home or in the office. And living in South Florida with 3 kids, I don't know what I'd do without them. Family owned and operated, serving Royal Palm Beach and beyond since 1980. Let the knowledgeable and trained team at Bradley help you with your residential and commercial needs, installation, repair, seasonal maintenance, upgrades of all makes and styles and models of HVAC equipment, and so much more. Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning does things right the first time and makes the process smooth, stress-free, and most importantly, keeps you cool. Give them a call at 561-793-7497. That's 561-793-7497 or bradleyair.com. Any need, big or small, trust the amazing team at Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning.
Anajar and Levine.
Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 106.3.
WESP Jupiter, a good karma brands radio station.
At St. Lucie Battery and Tire, batteries came before tires. We've been selling and servicing all types of batteries for over 50 years. So when you need a battery for nearly anything, we have it, as well as the fast professional installation you need. We carry premium batteries for all your needs: automotive, commercial, marine, RV, and specialty. We also offer delivery and on-site installation. serving our customers quality products for over 50 years in the home of honest, reliable service. Go to slbt.com and book your next appointment.
Wake up with Unsportsmanlike. I should be in the Palm Beach County Sports Hall of Fame. I did 20 years of sports radio when there was no sports radio station in that market.
The guy that got you off of the radio station is who they actually put in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if you knew this, yeah.
Yeah, Steve, he's in the Hall. You're right about that.
He is?
Yes, he's right about that. The one who took me off the air.
He's in there.
The guy that got him off the airways in South Florida. Let's put that guy in the Hall of Fame.
That's unreal.
Unsportsmanlike with me, Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, and Michelle Smallman. Live weekdays 6 to 10 on ESPN 106.3.
ESPN 106.3 is your home for live sports presented by Hard Rock Bet. Home of the Miami Heat, now the new home of Inter Miami. Catch all the games and the biggest matchups throughout the week right here on ESPN 106.3. Hard Rock Bet, it's Florida's official sports book. Try Hard Rock Bet now and receive up to $100 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not win. Hard Rock Bet, roll with us. It's offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling, call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining Built Ford Tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, Built Ford Tough. Based on 1977 to 2024 calendar year total sales.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
Ball into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
Second hour, Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat on your radio dial at ESPN 106.3. Also streaming live, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter/X at ESPN West Palm. If you missed any of the program, you can listen back over on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Listen in full at ESPN West Palm and Russo and Rizzo there. Christian Cat, our producer today behind the glass, at the City Place Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. We'll talk to him in just a moment. First, the summer of soccer is here. Inter Miami, right down the street. You're going to see some big-time clubs from all over the world coming to town for the Club FIFA World Cup.
Including Real Madrid and Manchester City. So to open the curtain up a little bit with the Club FIFA World Cup, Manchester City will be holding their practices in Boca, and Real Madrid will be holding their practices in Palm Beach Gardens. Now, we're not sure if they're going to be able to be fans there or whatever. I think it is closed off to the public, but regardless, these teams are in our backyard here in West Palm Beach and in South Florida. And a lot of these games are going to be at Hard Rock Stadium, including that first inaugural game. Our Inter Miami Herons and Al Ali will be doing battle June 14th. The first game to kick things off is at Hard Rock Stadium with our Inter Miami Herons. As you know, we are home of Inter Miami here on ESPN 106.3. But folks, not only is it in our backyard here in Miami at Hard Rock Stadium, the FIFA Club World Cup will take place all over the country this summer. This is the first time the tournament will take place in this format, featuring 32 teams all competing for the illustrious FIFA Club World Cup trophy. The tournament includes 12 teams from Europe, 6 from South America, 4 from Asia, 4 from Africa, 4 teams from North, Central, and South America and the Caribbean, and 1 from Oceania, and finally another one from the host nation. Got plenty of MLS teams in there as well, LAFC. But remember, our Inter Miami Herons going to be in that inaugural June 14th game against Al Ali. The current champion is Manchester City, who beat Fluminense in 2023. The games are in Miami, and they're going to be at Hard Rock Stadium, featuring top-tier clubs like Inter Miami, Al Ali, Boca Juniors, Benfica, Real Madrid, Al Hilal, Bayern Munich, Palmeiras, and plenty more. Get your tickets now by going to FIFA.com/tickets. That is FIFA.com/tickets. I mean, folks, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, the biggest teams in the world, going to be right here in our backyard. Listen, I'm a Manchester United guy. I don't necessarily want to mention City, but Manchester City, certainly the best team in the Prem the last 3 years, Christian.
Mike, you had from the paper over, there's more. There's more details we missed. No, there's not. You hit all the notes.
Seth Davis.
FIFA.com/tickets. That is FIFA.com/tickets. What, dude? Hang on. I'm all fired up for this. You got to realize soccer is my thing, man. Football is my thing. I want to get the word. I want to get the word out there, man. You got Manchester City, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich in your backyard. Wake up.
You know, hot take here. Al Ali. They're gonna win it all.
The Egyptian side.
Did they play out of Cairo?
The Egyptian. No. They're not out of Cairo.
Yeah, that was a dumb question, Colin. What are you talking about?
But listen, the top flight, they're a good team. All these teams are good.
Where do they play out of? Luxor?
They're in this competition for a reason, all right? Top tier team out of Egypt. You guys can joke around about it all you want. FIFA.com/tickets. Those stadiums are going to be packed. There are a ton of football fans down here in South Florida.
And half of them will have gone because they heard you told them to go.
I hope so. That's the plan.
Oh, yeah. What's up?
Where do they play?
Al Ali?
Is that a city?
Yeah, they play in Ali. Al is actually the guy who bought the team.
No,
Christian Albert. They goes by Al.
Christian is completely talking out of his, you know what? Colin.
They play in Cairo, you phony. They play in Cairo. You guys thought that was crazy. They play in Cairo. Where would they play? It's like the 5th biggest city in the world. God. Christian, our producer.
That's a good one.
What do you have for us?
Well, he's all angry because he can't play golf.
Mike's all upset.
Yeah, I am upset. I am upset. Damn it! All right, Christian he's all upset because he hasn't been able to play golf. I can tell.
No, we got to take a break now because of the 16-minute live read. We actually used all our time, and we got to go to break.
Wow.
I'm actually okay today. I have the backup car, which got no AC, so I was really sweating it out, literally and figuratively, because I was looking at the clouds when driving into work. And hey, if it's raining, you got to roll the windows up, and then it turns into a hot box. But I made it into work on time. Not as sweaty as I could have been.
You know this? I got a physical therapy appointment out front right here at the station at 6 o'clock. True story.
So, why? Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
He's coming here to the City Place Studios, and I have a physical therapy appointment.
It's like a CEO who orders masseuses to their desk.
Christian, he's bringing in a table.
He's bringing in a table. He's bringing in a table. I think this is brilliant.
What's his name, Colin?
Dr. Corbin.
Man or woman?
It's a male.
Okay. So Colin is going to get his groin rubbed down at his workplace in broad daylight.
Physical therapy.
I'll be at home.
It's physical therapy. It's a 60-minute appointment.
Home. I mean, Mike, I bet you could help Colin out here. You're his co-host.
It's
his teammate.
I have I pulled my groin yesterday, 2 days ago, getting off the couch. So now I'm being very careful about it.
Christian, I'm going to be too busy with a loud horn going around screaming about the Club FIFA World Cup on Rosemary.
Okay. That's what you got when you get
That's what I got.
Where does Ali
it's
play?
6 o'clock.
Not in Cairo.
It's 6 o'clock.
You guys don't know
they told me that.
Unbelievable. They play in Cairo. Where else would they play? I've been to Alexandria. Where the city stinks.
Where does Bayern play? If you guys listening?
Munich.
Okay, good. You guys were listening to my
second half of their team.
You guys were listening to my apparently 3-hour live read that I just did for the FIFA Club World Cup.
We're gonna get the clock on this one. That was
God forbid God forbid I try to go above and beyond for a partner.
You're right.
God forbid I try to go above and beyond for a partner.
Mike cares about making sure that everybody is well fed, filling buckets. Christian wants to just skate by. Let's do a little 5 and 5 presented by Flagler Credit Union.
5 topics.
High five.
5 o'clock.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Let's get out of here.
Endless takes.
You can't handle the truth.
All gas, no brakes.
And it's shaking big time.
It's time for the 5 at 5.
Hold on to your butts.
Presented by Flagler Credit Union, proud supporter of FAU athletics. Earn up to $700 per year with boost checking from Flagler Credit Union. Number 1.
Hold on to your butts, hold on to your groins, because Tom Thibodeau was fired by the New York Knicks just days away, removed from the best Knicks season in decades. It came to a halt in the Eastern Conference Finals. How many coaches' job security in the NBA is truly 100% safe?
If you're going to flip it, yeah. Okay, JJ Redick, are you talking about safe as in they're not going to get fired, or they wouldn't take the Knick job if called?
I'm talking about even after a poor 2025-2026 season, they guaranteed will not be fired.
Well, a lot of the guys...
We lost one of them to retirement in Greg Popovich, 2 weeks ago.
Mike Malone is out, so you lost him as well. Kenny Atkinson is safe. Joe Mazzulla for the Boston Celtics is safe. Rick Carlisle is completely safe. I would make an argument
Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr is fine. Dagnall is completely fine. Ime Udoka for the Houston Rockets is completely fine. Redick, I would imagine, is completely fine.
Really? Bickerstaff with the Pistons.
Bickerstaff is completely fine. Ty Lue, I would lean on the side of okay.
Spo.
Chris Finch is fine.
If Tom Thibodeau got fired after doing this with the Knicks, getting the most out of this roster than anyone else, bringing them from the depths of despair, how can you say a lot of these names are no doubt slammed up? He just went to the Eastern Conference Finals to 6 games.
Here's the thing. I think are the best days ahead of the New York Knicks. Can you confidently say that with Tom Thibodeau as the head coach next year? Can you confidently say that, yes or no?
There are only 6 more wins that they could have had this year.
That's not what I asked you. From their perspective, if they ran it back, were their best days ahead of them? Can you confidently say that?
History tells us it can't get much better than we just saw this year.
I'm kind of with Christian on this, Colin. Unless they get Danny Hurley or Jay Wright, I think this was forced.
Well, if you get somebody and all of a sudden you have a great year next
again,
year, if the whole viewpoint is the Eastern Conference is beatable next year, no Boston with Jason Tatum going down.
Let me play devil's advocate. First-year head coach. If they get a first-year head coach, are they seriously winning the NBA Finals?
Well, here's the thing. You thinking you're beating the Pacers next year? You're running it back against the Pacers? You're going to beat them next year? Probably not. Probably not. You got to do something different. You can't change up the lineup, the roster every 5 seconds. They don't have enough assets to move things. You have to change something.
Your argument is Thibodeau, and I agree with you to an extent. You're
not winning the championship.
Yeah, he's not a floor raiser. You know what he's going to get
you. The thing is, we like to have this conversation in every sport where, okay, you want to fire X name, who are you getting instead,
exactly.
Right? It should not be up to chance for this firing to happen. If you ask me, they had to have already confirmed with his replacement. That's the only way it's permissible.
So you agree with the plan?
Yeah,
Hurley, this has to look
has
good.
To know already.
This has to look good. I agree with you on that.
I said Christian, I said it. I know you were listening. We'll know if they have a plan very early in this whole kit and caboodle we're about to go through with them finding a head coach.
So the replacement should be announced within a week.
Correct.
I would agree with that. I think it has to be quick.
We'll know if this was an impulse fire or if they actually have a plan very, very quick.
Let me ask a follow-up question. Is Tom Thibodeau being hired to a playoff team, yes or no?
Yes.
You think a playoff team will pick him up?
Well, I guess someone's got to fire their coach to get him.
Let's exclude our play-in teams. Are the Denver Nuggets hiring Tom Thibodeau?
No.
All right, so Detroit is not hiring. If Doc Rivers gets fired, are the Milwaukee Bucks getting Tom Thibodeau?
It'd be a mistake if they did.
All right, so
they need Johnny Bryant. You want to know who needs the young and up-and-comers? The Milwaukee Bucks are probably keyword, going to trade Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Are the Memphis Grizzlies, I think they already inked in with the new guy, but if they decide to look outward, are they going to hire Tom Thibodeau?
You want to know where I could see him going, Colin, to answer your question, is Sacramento. Don't they need a coach there? They fired Mike Brown.
That could make sense.
I think that's where the floor needs to be. And I think Mike Brown did that to an extent. But with De'Aaron Fox out of there now, probably that's the situation. My best guess is he goes to Sacramento.
If a job opens up, he's going to Charlotte. He's going to Brooklyn. He's going to a bad team to make them passable. But that is what he does.
But that's not a criticism of him. That's just stating the fact that a playoff team is most likely not going to fire their head coach.
But it's more of a testament to the fact that I think playoff teams realize what he is. I think NBA teams realize what he is.
Christian and I are more on the side of you fired the guy that got you to the farthest place you've been in 25 years.
You know what it reeks of? It reeks of the Brooklyn Nets and Kenny Atkinson. That's what it reeks of.
I agree. This could blow up. This could. Didn't work out for the Suns, didn't work out for the Bucks. But the Celtics weren't afraid, and I know it was off-court stuff. They moved on from Ime.
They did not want to move off from Ime.
Well, it doesn't matter. But they replaced him, and whether it was internally or not, Mazzulla came in immediate success. They were better with Mazzulla than they were with Ime.
Hang on. You got to realize the Celtics are the definition of stability. The Knicks are the definition of incompetent. Correct? As far as organizational structure.
Well, now, since Leon Rose took over in 2020, they've done a good job. We could all agree on that.
And I think a lot of it had to do with Tibbs, but I understand the point.
If we're going to give Tibbs so much credit, how come he got outcoached every step of the way?
By Carlisle. By Carlisle, he did.
Did we go to the end of any game saying, wow, Tibbs put on a masterclass there? No. It was all about the player. It was all about Anthony Towns, Brunson, or Mitchell Robinson doing great. That was what it was.
They must have been great before him then.
No. Well, they put the roster together when Thibodeau was there. None of the roster that was currently there, they were put together when Thibodeau was there.
How about those
Leon Rose put it together. Leon Rose got Karl-Anthony Towns. Tom Thibodeau did not get Karl-Anthony Towns.
How about those individual players where they were before they played under Tom Thibodeau?
So, here's your question. Did Jalen Brunson play the best basketball of his career under Tom Thibodeau? Yes. Did Karl-Anthony Towns play the best basketball of his career under Tom Thibodeau? The answer is probably...
somewhere in between.
Yeah, somewhere in between. Who knows? Did OG Anunoby play the best basketball of his career? It's arguable. Did Josh Hart? Yes. Did Dante DiVincenzo? Probably.
It sounds like a good coach.
Does it sound like a championship-winning coach?
It sounds like better than average.
How about this? He got into the conference final, twice in his career, and he's an under 500 playoff winning percentage. He won 0 series with Minnesota. He won 3 total with Chicago, and he's won 3 or 4 total with the Knicks.
Yeah,
How great of a coach is this guy?
You're not going to use 2013 data points against him when it's what have you done for me lately? He just had a top 3 coaching season in the NBA.
And to that point, the Knicks have done nothing but play musical chairs before Thibodeau.
Totally. They gave him 5 years and they're moving on. This is not a musical chairs situation.
The guy who beat the Boston Celtics, the defending champ, and got to the Eastern Conference Finals, now they decide to move on from him. It's a Knick move. It's a purely incompetent Knick move for the foreseeable future until they get Danny Hurley or Jay Wright.
All right, let me ask you this.
If they get some no-name coach, we go,
Mike, you need a coach who's going to succeed. You need a coach who's going to win them games. Are they going to win a championship with Tom Thibodeau, yes or no? The answer is no. That team was not winning a championship with Tom Thibodeau this year. They were not doing it next year. No. The answer is no.
You would have said that about Rick Carlisle and the Pacers last year.
Well, that's fine. From what I've seen from Tom Thibodeau-led New York Knicks, I have a very hard time seeing them. They were lucky to be in the spot they were. Because they were lucky. They should have lost. And I understand that Game 1 loss changed the series. But Boston gift-wrapped them Game 1 and 2. Historically bad shooting nights. If they lost to Boston, we'd be want to talk about the what-if about that Halliburton shot? What about the what-if if Boston didn't shoot 10% from 3 in Game 1 and Game 2? How about that?
If they lost to Boston, they would have lost to the defending NBA champion.
Right.
And who might actually give the Thunder a series. We would not be having our pitchforks as a Knicks fan.
It would have been, if they would have fired him after that Celtics thing, would have been like, oh, finally. But now that they got to the conference finals and they beat the Celtics, the team, by the way, they constructed that team to beat the Celtics.
Here's the question. Do you believe in him?
Yeah, I do.
Do you?
I would have won one more year.
I would have won one more year. I don't believe in him. Tell me why you believe in him.
How he earned himself a year.
He earned
himself a year.
That I can listen to. All right? I can listen to the fact that he earned himself another year. I can't listen to the fact that anybody believes in him to win a championship. And that's what they're looking for.
He earned one more year here. And that's why I go back to what Christian and I have been going back and forth on, and even you, Kyle. We're going to find out if this team had a plan or if it's Dolan and Leon Rose going, yeah, he's not good enough.
We got to move on.
All right.
Number 2.
Get what I'm saying, though.
Fine, see the plan. They should have a plan. But the idea that this guy is some golden ticket. Oh, yeah, fine. This is because this is Leon and Rose's team now. He joined in 2020. They're so much better now with Rose running the team in terms of roster construction, drafting, development, and coaching staff since he took over. That is the bottom line. You're talking about the last 25 years when it was 100 different GMs. And James Dolan. James Dolan stays out of the way, at least for the most part. They let Leon Rose run that team, and he's done a good job. But if you want to continue taking steps forward, you got to continue to make alterations. The NBA is cutthroat. Do I think it is fair? No. Do I think it was the right move? Absolutely. Continue. Number 2.
Let's stay on the hardwood. You want to talk about a team with a plan, and they're telling us they've got a plan? The Phoenix Suns. They are, quote, aggressively pursuing a trade deal for Kevin Durant. They're also lowering the asking price with a couple of things they want guaranteed. Who do you see Kevin Durant suiting up for to play in next season?
It's a tricky question because you don't know who could put together the package and what the package actually is. If the package is going to be lower, then I think the Suns are going to take the best possible compensation in return for that. Like, if the Orlando Magic come calling, and then all of a sudden he's flying there, I don't know if I can make a prediction right now. I bet it's the Eastern Conference. Because I don't think they're going to want to keep him around in the West and make a great team much better. Does Miami call? I'm off that. I don't know if Miami does anymore. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they can put together a package that's enticing enough for the Phoenix Suns to bite.
I'm with Colin on the Eastern Conference. dare I say, maybe the Knicks. I lit up everybody who was talking Giannis to the Knicks the other day, so I'm kind of being contradicting here. It's either the Eastern Conference or right there in Phoenix. Does Durant want it? Is the main thing for Durant to win games anymore? I just think he's just trying to play basketball at this point in his career. I don't know. I don't think he's got that hunger in his eye anymore. I think he's completely fine with rotting in Phoenix.
Number 3.
Lions All-Pro center Frank Ragnow is retiring from the NFL. He's a really good football player. He said, you know what? The health concerns aren't worth it. I want to spend time with my family. Now, the Detroit Lions, coming off a NFC divisional round upset loss to the Washington Commanders. They're losing both of their coordinators, offense and defense, and they're losing a key cog to their offensive line. You look on Hard Rock Bet, Lions still favored to win the division, the NFC North. Lions plus 135, Packers plus 275, Vikings plus 400, Bears plus 450. Mike Collin, I give you $100. I tell you, you gotta bet on one of those teams to win the division. Who are you using that free bet on?
I'm off the Lions right now. I'm off that. That team is they're going to face some trouble. They have 8 outdoor road games. We don't think that's a big deal because they were good last year and them fine. But they're losing both their big coordinators. They got Aiden Hutchinson. You don't know how healthy he's going to be to start out the year. Apparently he's 100%, maybe not. I know they have young players all over the place, but they're going to feel that coaching change, and they're going to feel Ragnow. They're going to feel that. If I had to put money on it, I'd probably say Green Bay. I think Green Bay is going to have a good year next year. I do. I think it's a well-run organization. He's a good coach. Love is probably due for a little bit of a bounce-back year. I think they're going to feel the added pieces they have in terms of another year of Jacobs, the Matthew Golden. I would probably put it loosely on the Green Bay Packers.
I'm a sucker. Give me 450 on the Bears.
Okay.
Give me the Bears. Give me Ben Johnson. Give me Caleb Williams. I don't think... I've been quoted numerous times on this show that I'm not a Jordan Love fan. I think that is way too much money for a mediocre quarterback. I think J.J. McCarthy is going to have a solid year. I think they don't win 14 games, though, in Minnesota. I'm banking on Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. I still am on the Caleb Williams train, even though I thought he had a rough year last year.
Number 5.
Well, time to make some plans. Time to celebrate accordingly. Because it is June the 3rd. And everyone knows what June the 3rd is.
We do?
We sure do.
What is it,
Comes around
Kyle?
once a year.
Kyle, what is it?
Happy National Egg Day.
Oh, yeah.
Huevos, my guys. Eggs.
The best.
How do you take your eggs?
Scrambled.
Scrambled with white American cheese.
I'm like 4 years old. Scrambled eggs, really?
Scrambled eggs with white American, or
I have 6 eggs every day.
Over hard is really... Kyle,
every day.
Hey, over hard is really good as well, where you flip the sunny side up over and then the yolk gets hard and you put on a bagel sandwich with a piece of American cheese. Very good. I'm with Colin. I could eat 15 eggs a day.
I have 6
I really
a day.
could.
And I don't know. And I haven't checked the cholesterol levels or whatever it is, but I'm sure it's
eggs,
fine.
Don't
eggs
listen.
are a superfood.
Don't listen to that.
You ever do the raw egg thing?
No.
Wow, not a real fitness guy, huh?
No.
Hang on.
I bet everyone at
That's
your triathlon, I know the real name, Spartan race, I forget the name of it. Ironman. Everyone's going to be downing raw eggs right in your face.
That's fine.
And you're going to realize that's what I've been missing.
Kyle, in my opinion, you can never eat enough meat and eggs.
It's a superfood.
I think meat and eggs are superfoods, but, they eat at your own discretion.
Yeah. I feel like you need to eat it moderate, please. 6 eggs every day for the last 9 months.
If you ate nothing but meat, eggs, and vegetables, you'd look like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator.
Fruity Pebbles?
Yeah.
Like, give me a break.
That garbage, that processed food, that crap.
I'm not listening to that. The anti-eggs.
No,
that's a real thing. People are like, your cholesterol is going to skyrocket.
No, that is the biggest load of baloney I've heard in 15 years.
Load of crap.
Excuse me out. Not a fan of eggs.
You don't like eggs?
No. The only use I have for eggs is like Halloween and throwing them at other trick-or-treaters.
This is also a man, and Christian, I'm not taking it personal. This is another man who doesn't believe in water. So,
but I believe in it.
You don't believe in water.
Not in drinking it raw.
When was the last time you had a cup of water? I've loved playing this game with you.
A truly cup of water that only I had. I didn't take a sip of my girlfriend's.
Yeah, no, like that. You poured yourself water and downed
it. Pouring a cup of water? I haven't poured a cup of water in like 3 months.
What about a bottle of water?
I filled up my bottle of water for golf. That's it.
Right, golf.
Mm-hmm. I get my fix when I play golf.
When's the last time you had water without golf?
A couple months.
on average, how many cups of water do you have a day?
He just said a couple months since he's had water.
Christian,
not in a
I
golf
don't know
course.
how you
It
don't
depends
have.
on the water content
Dude, I'm
of
blown away that
Hawaiian
you're
Punch.
alive.
I'm blown away you're alive, and no pun intended. I'm surprised you don't have a kidney stone the size of a golf ball.
What percent of Arnold Palmer you think is water? The same can be said about Tropicana's peach punch.
So much sugar, dude.
There's water in there. It has to be.
Yeah, there
That's
is.
on the ingredients.
There is. That's
With,
true.
with also,
That's why you're not dead.
with also 75 grams of sugar per cup.
That's why you're not dead.
Per cup.
That's why you're not dead. We'll talk to Steve Politiner, the Good Karma Brands president. On the flip side, stick around, Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
F45 Training West Palm Beach offers functional group fitness classes reimagined. Sign up for F45 today and visit their West Palm Beach location. Featuring high-intensity group workouts that are fast, fun, and results-driven, F45 always has the right workout for you. Not to mention, it takes just 45 minutes. Visit F45training.com today to find a studio near you and officially join the F45 Training family. F45, team training, life-changing.
Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fronrath, proudly representing the residents of South Florida since 1985, and proud supporter of Inter Miami on ESPN West Palm. Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fronrath has attorneys across South Florida ready to fight for your rights. They've recovered billions for their clients, and you won't pay anything unless you win your case. If you have been injured, call the attorneys at Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fronrath, 561-867-4117, or online at foryourrights.com. Main office in West Palm Beach.
Breaking news on ESPN 106.3 is brought to you by St. Lucie Battery and Tire.
This just in. We begin this hour with breaking news.
When news breaks, ESPN 106.3 has it covered.
We've had developments. ESPN 106.3 can now report.
When your vehicle breaks, St. Lucie Battery and Tire fixes it. Stay tuned to ESPN 106.3 for more breaking news. Brought to you by St. Lucie Battery and Tire.
Ready to take on any terrain? The all-new 2025 Defender 110 P300S is here. Built for those who crave adventure without compromising on luxury. Lease the powerful 2025 Defender 110 P300S for just $889 per month for 36 months. Whether you're tackling the toughest roads or cruising the city, the Defender is ready for it all. Don't wait. Visit Land Rover Palm Beach today and experience the Defender like never before. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details.
Mike Rizzo here with the Sports Business Minute presented by the FAU MBA in Sport Management Program. The UEFA Champions League final featured PSG and Inter Milan. PSG Paris Saint-Germain dominated the game 5-0. It was the largest victory in a Champions League game in the history of the UEFA Champions League, and people all across the world were celebrating. According to Fanatics, more PSG merchandise was sold in the 12 hours after a win than the previous 3 months combined. Fans from 70 countries went to the official PSG online store to buy merchandise. Soccer truly is the world sport. This is the Sports Business Minute presented by the FAU MBA in Sport Management Program. Accelerate your career in sports with the program committed to developing top-notch executives and managers with a focus on the job placement for students and graduates. The FAU MBA in Sport Management Program.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Well, you got the Stanley Cup Game 1 tomorrow night. We'll be there at Amerant Bank Arena. They're live watching it, having a good time. Mike and I live on site, of course, with specialty programming from 6 to 7 p.m. as well. You got the Stanley Cup, you got the NBA Finals. No better time to get started over on Hard Rock Bet. Go download that app today in the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Go to hardrock.bet online to get started. Hard Rock's the best because it's catered to both types of players. If you're the brand new player, you don't necessarily know how to navigate a sportsbook, they got you covered there. And if you're the experienced player and you want to put together complicated parlays, if you want to capitalize on Battle of the Bets, which hit last night, by the way, if you hit the Battle of the Bets, it was the Dodgers-Met game specific score. It's like 5-3 or whatever. And if you hit it, you get $380 in bonus bets. That's what they have to offer. Those are the types of games that they have all the time on Hard Rock Bet. You get $100 back also in bonus bets if your first bet does not hit. Hard Rock Bet offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida, must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida. The wager terms, conditions apply. Consider by gambling. Call 1-888. Well, let's loop in the world's greatest Knicks fan with Colin Russo and Mike Rizzo on Russo and Rizzo. The Good Karma Brand's president, Steve Pollard Sr., joining us live. What do you got for us, Steve? No, we don't have Steve right now. So Christian expertly produced on his part. We're going to work on Steve as we're trying to get Steve involved here. But in the meantime, do we have Steve now? Steve, welcome in. What do you got for us?
Hello, guys. I'm here. Okay, happy Egg Day.
Steve, how shocked were you about the Tom Thibodeau firing, or is this something that does not come as a surprise to you?
I was surprised. I really was. I was surprised that it happened this quickly. I was surprised based on what the options are, and I was surprised based on look. I know players only have so much to say, but it seemed like Brunson was very clear afterwards that it shouldn't even he was trying to diffuse the discussion right after the game that Tibbs should be there. So yeah, I was surprised all around.
So I'm thinking about this because there's probably player tension. After a move like that, especially with the advocacy that the players had for Tom Thibodeau as a leader and a coach, they have to have a plan here, right? Or are you under the impression that this was sort of an impulsive decision and they're going to try to figure it out from there?
I do. You're saying there's two ways to look at this. You think Leon Rose and Dolan were sitting and saying, if he doesn't get us to the blank, we're replacing him?
Yeah,
or was it...
Or this guy's available, we got to go get this guy.
Yeah, but who is that guy? I mean, I know I'm hearing you guys talk about college coaches, but I don't think that's like an obvious. There's that guy.
Is Mike Malone?
This isn't a Coach K. Yeah. Let's see if we can lure him.
What about Mike Malone? If they get Mike Malone from the Denver Nuggets.
They already have him. It's called Tom Thibodeau with a little bit more winning.
Yeah, okay. What about Jay Wright picks up the phone? The Knicks fans are not excited?
I wouldn't do it if I were Jay Wright.
I'm with him.
Hold
Steve's with me. Hang on. Steve's with me. This was a bozo move. This was a shameful move by the Knicks.
There's really only one coach that I think has unfinished business with the Knicks who would make sense for. Jeff Van Gundy.
Yeah, Van Gundy. Do you think they're going to bring Van Gundy back?
I don't think they will because I'm sure I don't know what the relationship is with he in the front office, but that to me would be that's to me how you would get Knicks fans pumped. That to me would be like, all right, I can't believe they fired Tibbs. He got us further than we've been in 30 years. Mm-hmm. But Jeff Van Gundy, that's our guy. He's beloved. Jeff Van Gundy would be a back page win. And I don't know if that's what Dolan's going for, but a lot of times that's what you are going for.
Are the Knicks fans excited if Dan Hurley takes that job?
I don't love college coaches going to the NBA and winning right away.
Yeah, it doesn't work enough.
It's just not a great track record of it. Do you see it?
No, I don't.
I think he'd take it if offered, but I don't think they're going to offer him.
I mean, I know Hurley, even the fact that Hurley was flirting with it before, I'm not saying it's a bad move by those guys to not do it. I mean, it's a lot of money, and who cares if it doesn't work out? If they have no other interest in coaching in the NBA, get more money and go. Look, a lot of times the college guys come to the NBA, they kind of have to sacrifice. They don't get that great team, and that's what gets them into the NBA. It's their shot.
The one thing I'll say,
you got to understand all the hairs and complexities that you're getting.
Hang on.
Karl-Anthony Towns is a question mark right now on do you keep him, do you not keep him? Giannis is in play. Durant's in play. The Knicks bench has question marks. Robinson, there's serious questions. It's not necessarily this team that's built to be able to compete for the next several years. The way that the Pacers team seemingly has been and has become.
No, Steve, don't you think Tibbs earned a year? Didn't he earn another year after this year, beating the Celtics and going to the Eastern Conference Finals first time in 25 years?
I do. Now, I am the guy that says he's never going to win a championship because he burns out his guys And then once that has just reached its end, and you need another avenue. By the way, he did that this year in this series without injury. A lot of times it's you burn your guys out and you didn't have guys ready to play. He burned his guys out because they're burned out. I mean, Josh Hart just had a bad run.
Sure.
The matchups weren't working. And then all of a sudden, Wright and Shamet are playing these minutes. And Shamet played pretty well, but they're playing minutes that they've never seen all year in the most pressure situations. That's why I don't think he's prepared to win, because he doesn't prepare the team all year to win. He prepares 8 guys to win.
Yeah, he's too stubborn in his own ways, and he's been that way his entire career. If he wasn't going to do it for the Knicks, I have a hard time seeing him doing it ever. He is going to be if you hire Tom Thibodeau, you know exactly what you're going to get. And I think that's what the Knicks got. I think they knew exactly what they were going to get when they brought him in. They wanted him to floor raise the team, make them back into a reputable, respectable team in the NBA. That's exactly what he did. I don't think they were expecting him to win a title. I think they got to this point and they got rid of their JB Bickerstaff. They're trying to find their Kenny Atkinson.
Yeah, and I know we're talking, whether it's the college guys, whether it's Michael Malone, other names out there. What about on the Knicks bench? Mo Cheeks is there, has coached in the NBA, head coach in the NBA, won an NBA championship, is a great player.
I don't think
he's there, hasn't head coached in a long time.
I don't think that satisfies the player. Don't you think that you're trying to ease tensions here now? They got to think logically here. I'm under the impression that they're thinking logically that they want to ease these tensions amongst the players.
But who's the tensions with?
You think the players are happy? I think the players are a little thrown off by this, no?
Right, but wouldn't Cheeks, and I'm not advocating per se, but wouldn't Cheeks be the natural ease of tension? It's like continuing the THIBS legacy mentality.
And why get rid of him if you're gonna have another guy just from the same tree walk in and do the same thing?
Who knows? Now, like we talked about premeditated. What conversations went on all year? How many times did Leon Rose say, "Hey, you got to use more of these guys. I got you these guys. Use them more." I don't know. We don't know. Winning cures a lot.
So, Steve, who would be a home run hire? Is there anyone out there? A name? No, you mentioned a couple.
Jeff Van Gundy.
Okay.
My guy's Jeff Van Gundy.
Okay. I don't think that's going to... Van Gundy on the bench for the Clippers, right, with Ty
Lue. He's the first assistant at the Clippers. Maybe he'd take it. I don't know the relation. That's the only... The question is the matter of relationship.
Is he the guy to win an NBA title? That's what they want to do ultimately.
Yeah, if Van Gundy, the weird thing is he more of a viable candidate having been back in the NBA as an assistant for a year, or has that almost diminished him in a way that if it was more, oh man, we're trying to lure him out of the broadcast booth, like several teams did. They tried to lure him out of the broadcast booth when he was still a broadcaster with ESPN before he got, part of the ESPN layoffs, and then he just came back as an assistant. I'm saying, is he as attractive as a candidate right now when it looks like he sort of did what he needed to do to get back in the league? Where a year ago it looked like, well, that's no one can lure this guy away. Right, he coached the Rockets, went to TV, and never came back.
Yeah, if you're talking about from an optics standpoint, I think the optics of it all is they're going to have to make the Knick fan, the New York media, and the New York player, who I think is probably pretty annoyed by this based on first impressions of Tom Thibodeau being fired. I would say that if you're Leon Rose and James Dolan, you got to hire somebody whose name speaks volumes before they even walk into the room, whose name eases tensions about this team is going to be righted in terms of directionally. Before they even step in the room. That is the type of player that I think a coach they'd have to get.
Well, you know how we will find out if that is the priority based on the hire, because if it is if it's less of a big time name, let's say like Mo Cheeks, for example, then it was probably more about the front office wanting to have input in what was happening or what kind of battles were going on behind the scenes.
I think you're probably right. And if they get in a big new name or a big name to begin with, I think it's all about them actually just trying to get to the next level and change things up. And that, Tibbs got us where he's supposed to be. And I think that's what he is. I think everybody agrees with that Tibbs is a floor raiser. Tibbs is not necessarily the high-end head coach. It's a matter of if this is fair or not. And Mike's right. This is objectively not fair, but this is what the NBA is.
He earned himself a year, guys. I will not come off that. I won't come off that.
Two quickies. One, I heard Evan Cohen say this morning on Unsportsmanlike on ESPN 106.3. I heard Evan Cohen, as you guys sit in the Evan Cohen studios, as we all sit in the Evan Cohen world. I heard Evan Cohen say this morning, Tibbs does deserve another year, but he won't be the guy to lead him to the promised land. And it's actually it was kind of right. I agree. He was never going to be the guy to lead him to promised land. My second quickie is he's very Buck Showalter. It's like get them to a spot, but can't get him over that spot because of certain ways that Buck Showalter was going to burn that bullpen out.
Yeah.
I don't care. This bullpen is everyone's pitching 70 games in the bullpen, and that's the way it's going to go. And their arms were dead in August, and that is the status of Thibodeau as a coach. It was a little different. It was I'm going to burn the starters out, and they just weren't ready. And not that they weren't ready, they just weren't. They couldn't adjust. And look, everything might be a different conversation if they won Game 1. And is that Thibodeau's fault that they didn't win Game 1? That historic, epic collapse? Is it his fault in the moment that Mitchell Robinson goes under his screen instead of over a screen? That Josh Hart is a step below on closeout, admitted it at the end of the game?
Miss a three. Miss a free throw.
Who was it? Nemhart Naismith make it 7 threes. Guys.
And that those guys are going to have the games of their life. Who knows? And one game. That's why every one of those, you cannot win a game. You cannot lose a game that you had won. I don't even think it was about the emotional impact. It was just about you can't lose that game.
That's it.
And of course, lose game 2.
That game, that shot that Halliburton hit as time expired, just even to tie it up, that shot killed that chances of that Knicks team running it back. That doesn't matter if they were never winning that series because of that shot, and that series killed that chances of the Knicks really running it back.
You can't, Steve. I go back. You can't go down 0-2 at home. If you have home court and you lose both games, you're done. You're done. They could have lost that game and won Game 2, been completely fine. You lose that game.
I'll tell you one other thing, though. What great timing. You had the long week of the layoff for the NBA Finals that, frankly, people besides NBA fans aren't really excited about. This isn't going to be, unfortunately, I love basketball. This isn't going to be one of those finals, I think, that's going to draw a zillion more people in. I wish it would, because you have the MVP and SGA, and you have this unbelievable emerging chip on our shoulder team, with the Pacers.
Right.
But everybody I talk to, people in the last couple of days, that casual NBA fan, that casual basketball fan, are not getting the vibes that they're coming over, that they're that this is on the calendar of I got to see Halliburton versus SGA.
Yeah, it's not.
Doesn't feel that way.
It does not feel like that at all. Well, Steve, for those of us who are interested, we know where we'll be. We'll be over at Duffy's, aren't we? How about that?
Oh my gosh! And Duffy's, not only you have the ADTVs for whatever you want to watch. What is going on now? Graduation parties. Every graduation deserves a party, and Duffy's is the place to celebrate. So reserve your spot now. If you haven't thought about the graduation party maybe you're throwing for your kid or your family friend, Duffy's can accommodate everything. They got the large rooms, the special menus, and of course all of the great amenities for anybody that's looking to celebrate. So level up your graduation at Duffy's. Visit Duffy'sMVP.com to book your graduation party. At Duffy's, our game is always on.
Steve, looking forward to talking again next week. All right, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the NBA Finals, okay?
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Steve Politino, the Good Karma Brand's president, the Palm Beach Sports Commission Hall of Famer, presented by Duffy's Sports Grill. Joining us then on Russo Rizzo. We'll close out the program, go streaking next with Hard Rock Bet on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
McCrispy strips are now at McDonald's. Tender, juicy, and its own sauce. Would you look at that? Well, you can't see it, but trust me, it looks delicious. New McCrispy strips, now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Tight on cash, say less. McDonald's under $4 McValue menu comes through. Indulging your sweet tooth or craving something savory? Tired of the same old, same old? Pick from your favorites like a creamy vanilla cone for $1.50 or a small frappe like rich caramel or chocolatey mocha for just $3.50. Quick snack breaks to late night cravings and everything in between. Mickey D's comes through. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
McCrispy strips are now at McDonald's. Tender, juicy, and its own sauce. Would you look at that? Well, you can't see it, but trust me, it looks delicious. New McCrispy strips, now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hey, Steph Prince here, General Manager of ESPN West Palm, to tell you about a team that has meant a lot to me and this community for a long time. Bob and the team at Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning have been helping me stay cool for years, whether at home or in the office. And living in South Florida with 3 kids, I don't know what I'd do without them. Family owned and operated, serving Royal Palm Beach and beyond since 1980. Let the knowledgeable and trained team at Bradley help you with your residential and commercial needs, installation, repair, seasonal maintenance, upgrades of all makes and styles and models of HVAC equipment, and so much more. Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning does things right the first time and makes the process smooth, stress-free, and most importantly, keeps you cool. Give them a call at 561-793-7497. That's 561-793-7497 or BradleyAir.com. Any need, big or small, trust the amazing team at Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning.
What would you do with an extra $700? You can earn up to $700 per year with Boost Checking from Flagler Credit Union. Boost Checking pays 7.0 annual percentage yield on balances up to $10,000. That's up to $700 extra to do what you love. Boost Checking from Flagler Credit Union. Requirements apply to earn the highest dividend rates. Limit 1 checking account per membership. Dividend rates and annual percentage yield subject to change. Business accounts do not qualify. Insured by NCUA, proud partner of Florida Atlantic University Athletics.
While it's not always possible to see contaminated water coming out of the faucet, the taste is difficult to ignore. And what about plastics and pharmaceuticals now in the water? The team at Culligan is here to help. Culligan offers water testing and reverse osmosis systems designed to filter out those contaminants right at the source. Culligan has been helping the local community with water issues since 1936. Schedule your appointment today at Culligan.com.
Hey, Culligan man!
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Well, now that the summer season is here and the last of the pre-tariff materials have finally arrived for air conditioning units, the air conditioning industry is already starting to see changes in shifts in pricing. The price increases are expected to increase throughout the summer, especially now that it's hot out in South Florida. Many vendors are already starting to report these increases throughout the year. And because of that, the availability of the pre-tariff parts and the systems are going to go quick. So get on it now. Go to John C. Cassidy. Visit them, the locally produced and serviced option. Visit CassidyAC.com for more information. They've been proudly serving Palm Beach County since 1960. They keep homes cool and comfortable. The best part is, even if you don't even know if your system needs an update or if it needs to be checked, you could have one of their highly trained technicians at John C. Cassidy. They can come over to your home. They can troubleshoot, perform diagnostic checks on your system. It doesn't even matter the brand or the age. That's what they have to offer. Go right now, especially now that the pre-tariff pricing is still in effect at John C. Cassidy. Visit more, learn more at CassidyAC.com. They're the locally serviced option. So they're part of our local community. They support organizations like the YMCA, the Palm Beach Gardens Youth Athletic Association. They're your option. Let's stay cool throughout the summer months right here in South Florida. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. Christian broke a illustrious record. Nobody has hit double digits yet on our Let's Go Streaking. Speaking of that, let's go streaking with Hard Rock Bet.
Time to put your money where your mouth is.
We can't lose. We can't lose. We can't lose.
Survive and Advance is the name of the game.
That's right! We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure!
Tail the hot hand.
Continue this improbable run. 22 consecutive wins.
And fade the cooler.
Everything you touch turns to mush. People go to the racetrack and the teller will give them his tickets already ripped out.
Let's go streaking.
We're going streaking! Yeah!
Presented by Hard Rock Bet.
Let's go streaking with Hard Rock Bet. We're trying to stack wins and or losses. Christian Cat was L9. You broke the streak, huh?
University of Arkansas Little Rock. They kept it close with LSU. They gave them 5.5 runs. They only needed 4.5. Way to go, fellas. The Trojans came through for me.
I'm L1. I had Francis Tiafoe against Musetti. Musetti won, so I'm L1 at the moment.
I've won 2 in a row, Oklahoma City. And how about me taking the Rockies last night?
Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Very good call.
So the Rockies ended up getting a win. I am also a few moments separated from win 9 in a row. I won 9 in a row, and I lost over the weekend. So I'm pretty hot right now, winning 2 games in a row, and I got another one tonight, Kyle.
I'll start this one. L1, I need a bounce back here. I'm staying in the French Open. I'm staying in Roland Garros in Paris. Djokovic is against Alexander Zverev, minus 110 each side. Djokovic has been playing outstanding. He's healthy. He desperately wants that 25th major. He could beat anybody if he is on. Minus 110, Novak Djokovic tomorrow.
I'll go next. I got faith in the Brewers tonight. I know Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, nonetheless a home run park. But Freddie Peralta, who's kind of struggled a little bit recently, not been able to go deep into games, throwing a lot of pitches. I think Peralta has a good game tonight. In my opinion, he's Milwaukee's ace. Give me the Brewers, who are getting plus odds tonight at Great American Park in Cincinnati.
Your Guardians are at the Yankees tonight.
I'm
You're
not touching it. I'm not touching it. We're in a bad spot right now.
A's are in a worse spot.
Hang on. We did win 2 out of 3. See, I say we. The Guardians did win 2 out of 3 against the Angels at home. But going into that, it's been tough sledding, and the Yankees are on fire right now.
Yeah, it's the Yankees and it's Cleveland, so you can skip to the end and know what's going to happen, not only in the win-loss column, but take the New York Yankees on the run line. You also get some plus money for that. Yankees minus 1.5, plus 105. Carlos Rodon on the bump, having a good season so far, and he keeps it going against the Gardos. Take the Yankees on the run line, and I will win my 2nd consecutive wager on Hard Rock Bet.
How about this? Let's rewind to Tuesday, May 13th. The Oakland A's beat the Los Angeles Dodgers 11-1 to move to 22-20 on the season. They're 23-38.
It's rough, dude.
Whoa.
It's been a rough span.
They're 23-38.
It's what you guys do, though. It's what they
1-18?
Kyle, the A's, they start hot, and similar to the Angels, they fall on their face.
1-18. They're the Rockies right now.
We could have faded the A's and profited a bunch.
I wouldn't jump on right now, but you could. You could do that.
By the way, I'm saying 19 games, you win 18 of them. That's pretty nice.
All that complaining I do about the Guards, they're still the first team in the wild card race.
Yeah,
23-38.
Terrible. That's our Let's Go Streaking with Hard Rock Bet. You know what you guys got to watch? I'm into it now. Because I watched it last night, and because there's no sports tonight, other than if you want to watch baseball games, I think this is interesting. You should watch the Osama bin Laden manhunt documentary on Netflix. Have you heard about this?
No.
It just came out. It's 3 episodes. It's called American Manhunt. And it's about directly after 9/11, how they got the CIA involved and how they really went after to go get bin Laden over that 10-year period.
No spoilers.
Right, no spoilers. It actually is excellent. I really think it's worth the watch. 3 episodes on Netflix, so it's not too long. It doesn't drag it out, and all of a sudden you're beaten in with tough topics. It's 3 episodes, you're in and out. Definitely worth the watch.
I got the solo crib at home. I might.
This is a good day to watch something like that. Absolutely.
Colin, 3-22, your Oakland A's. That's crazy.
Yeah, that. Christian Cat, Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo. Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3. Appreciate everybody staying aboard. I got a PT appointment right now. I'm looking forward to that. But we'll be back at it tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m. from Amerant Bank Arena over in Fort Lauderdale. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay focused. It's been Colin Russo saying so long on Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
The playoffs are heating up, but your home shouldn't. Stay cool with EDS air conditioning. Right now, qualified customers can take advantage of 0% interest for 60 months on a brand new AC. Hot streaks belong in